Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Sports Talk. I'm Jon Gerardi, the sports editor here, alongside, of course, the doctor, Chris Masse. And we got a lot to get into this week, so let's just dive right in here. We're going to start with some tennis. On Wednesday, the District 4-6 Class AAA singles tournament championships went off, and Central Mountain's David Lindsay, just a freshman, beat Hollidaysburg sophomore Nathan Barton 6-0, 6-0 at Mansion Park to win actually the first singles title for any Central Mountain player in history in boys tennis, which was impressive. Yeah. But what was more impressive is that he didn't lose a single game so far all season. Not a set, a game. Yeah, and that's pretty crazy. That's Olivia Dorner. Yeah, that's sort of Olivia Dorner type dominance there. I mean, just a heck of a season he's having this year. And Kyle Schuler and Alex Norris from Williamsport were both in the tournament. Norris got to the semifinals, Schuler got to the semifinals. And those two were supposed to play on Thursday, but it got rained out, unfortunately. And that should be a really great one when it's made up Monday between Central Mountain and Williamsport. It should be Schuler at the one singles against Lindsay. That should be a really great matchup to watch. We have the team tournament coming up here soon for districts, the singles tournament, and of course the doubles tournament. So a lot of really good tennis here we got coming up, and a lot of really talented singles players we have in our area. Not just I feel like we're in a good area, I feel, for tennis in general, not just girls but boys as well. A lot of really good players, I feel, all around in our schools.
Yeah, I mean, every year I think it seems like every year we have a district champion, whether it's singles, doubles, and boys and girls. So we're usually well represented at the state level, and obviously Olivia Dorner, got winning the state championship, shine a light on the area as well.
Definitely.
True story. I played one intramural tennis match at Penn State in the tournament. Lost in the first round, but I set a record for most times throwing the racket in frustration.
I don't find that surprising at all.
Aim for the stars.
If I remember, didn't you throw a baton in track and field?
My first 4x1 relay. I was a full-time baseball player, but I ran track when I could. In the first race, I ran threw the baton at the end of the race because we didn't win, and found out that was frowned upon as we were disqualified.
The things you learn, though, as you go along.
Exactly. That's life.
Exactly. Also, the other day, Wellsboro won its third consecutive Northern Tier title in boys tennis by beating North Penn Liberty 4-1. Props to Wellsboro, 3 straight. That's impressive. Let's kind of switch now to softball, Massey. And I think the big story coming out of Wednesday was Faith Persing from Montgomery throwing not only her fourth no-hitter, but striking out 19 and having 35 strikeouts in her last 2 games. I mean, I don't think you can ask for a better performance from a pitcher than that.
No, I said on Twitter, I'm running out of adjectives to try to describe how good she's been this season. The 4 no-hitters. It took 35 innings before anybody scored a run against her, before Bucktail got a couple the other day. She's given up 7 hits in 42 innings. It's ridiculous, and it's not like they're playing cupcakes. They've played South Williamsport. They played Bucktail, who's the defending champion. They played Warrior Run. They're going to be tested. They played Muncie, who's 8-2. They're going to be tested down the stretch. They loaded up their non-conference schedule pretty good. So she's putting on a show. Maddie Waltman was pretty dominant 2 years ago from Warrior Run, and that's where Faith Persing is right now.
I mean, in Montgomery right now is 9-0. Yeah. Just talk about. I mean, obviously Faith Persing obviously is solid in the circle for them, but talk about their offense too. I mean, it seems that they have a lot of weapons too that can put up runs.
Yeah, they can hit 1 through 9, and I think Chris Glenn's got a couple of girls he can bring off the bench if he has to produce 2. And they're one of the few teams in this area, really in the entire district, that still has a good core back from 2 years ago, because a lot of those girls that helped Montgomery get to the district final in the state tournament were freshmen that year. Faith Persing being one of them, Bryn McCrae, Shelby McCrae, Taylor McCrae, all 3 sisters are all only juniors right now, Jenna Waring. So Morgan Tupper. They've got experience, they've got talent, and I think they've got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder from coming so close to winning districts 2 years ago and having Bucktail walk off with a 4-3 win. So, yeah, they can hit throughout the lineup, and they're a dangerous team in Class A. Them and Northeast Bradford are undefeated right now. So when Faith Persing's throwing like that and they've got the well-rounded team behind her, they're going to be tough to beat.
You just covered Muncie yesterday on Wednesday, and they had I believe it was a 10-0 win against Sullivan County. You mentioned how Muncie's, I believe, 8-2.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, talking about them too and the season that they're having this year.
Yeah, they're a dangerous team. They've won 6 in a row. They gave Montgomery a tough game. It was the 3rd game of the season for Muncie. It was 3-3 going into the 7th. Montgomery scored 3 and won 6-3. But Muncie's full strength, or they're going to be full strength next week. They get Izzy Gush back, who will join Nola Moyer, who's having a dominant year in the pitching circle, and Rory Oden, who's a good senior pitcher. Izzy Gush will give him a 3rd pitcher. She'll give him another bat. And like Montgomery, they're hitting well throughout the lineup. They're scoring a lot of runs. And they're still pretty young. That was kind of the theme in my article today was Rory Oden and first baseman Kelsey Word are the only seniors right now. So I think those two are doing a good job leading and making sure this is as bright as the future is. The girls know they can do something this year, but the future is definitely really bright. And I think in the AA field, they're starting to look like a sleeper, especially the way Nola Moyer's throwing. She had 17 strikeouts in a win against Bucktail.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, tough lefty. So I think things are really looking good for the Indians.
All right, let's shift here into baseball for a little bit. We talked before we started the sports talk today. You were talking about how there's a lot of parity this season in the area. Let's kind of talk. Let's start first with Central Mountain. They're having a really solid season. What do you think has kind of been the key for Central Mountain this year?
Well, it starts, I think, with the way Aiden Major's throwing on the mound, the West Virginia-bound right-hander. He's 3-1 now. They started 1-3, and they had a kind of a turning point win against Lewisburg when they won 1-0 with him throwing a one-hitter and striking out 10. And then the next game out, he pitched 2 strong innings against Jersey Shore. Then he struck out 15 in an 8-0 win against Montoursville. So he was the catalyst. But it's a broken record. This team's literally hitting up and down the lineup. Mike Kramer's getting production off the bench. Yesterday, 7 different players had hits in a comeback win against Mifflinburg. Peyton Johnson has been on a rampage. He's 9 for 10 in his last 4 games. So that's a well-rounded group that could. It seems like every week I have a different number 1 in the top 5, and Central Mountain could be the one to take the place next week if they don't lose again this week, because they're playing really well in all facets.
And that just shows the talent in the area that every week there's you have another team moving for that number 1 spot.
Exactly, and it goes back to me and Mitch kind of talked about it last week that it's just we're just learning as we go. It's because of losing a year. A lot of these players that we're learning about now didn't get a chance to play last year, so we didn't really know a lot coming into the season about who was going to be really good this year, and I still think we're in that learning process, even though we're getting into May here.
Exactly.
So the unpredictability of it's kind of making it exciting, maybe more exciting than usual.
Loyal Sock, I believe, is 7-4, and every time Coach Zach Martin calls in, it seems like the games they do lose, they're kind of right in most of them, and the games they're winning by a few runs. It seems like Loyal Sock has also kind of a nice, well-rounded team, not just from an offensive perspective, but I feel like their pitchers are all capable of getting Loyal Sock out of a jam. Yeah,
that's. I think if you look at almost all of their wins this year, they've allowed, with the exception of Hughesville, which was 7-5, almost all their victories have either been shutouts or they've given up 1 run. And Chase Cavanaugh's having a great year. He's 4-1. Got the win against a really good Midwest team yesterday. But Josh Ranke's had some good games. He's got a couple of shutouts. Nick Laubach's throwing well. Job Shore is a guy I think they can go to in pressure situations late in games. He closed out the Hughesville win. So really, the Achilles right now has been Central Columbia. If you take away Central's 10-1 right now, and they've beaten Loyal Sock twice. If you take away those 2 games, the pitching's really been top notch right now, and like you said, they've got a couple different guys they can go to, which will be huge come playoff time.
And you just covered Montgomery earlier this week. What I guess has kind of stood out the most to you about that Red Raiders team this year?
I like their offense. It's one of their better hitting teams I think they've had in recent years.
And you love offense.
I do love offense. So the more the merrier. And they had 9 hits the other day against Millville. They hit the ball well against Muncie at the Tri-Town Classic tournament. And they were hitting Hughesville pretty good in the championship Saturday before Hughesville went to Dylan Pigano, who's kind of shutting everybody down right now. So I like the well-roundedness. I like that at the Tri-Town tournament, it was kind of the top of the order to the middle of the lineup that was carrying them. And then against Millville, it was kind of the middle to the bottom. And it's kind of been that way all year, where if one part of the lineup is down, another one picks it up. So I don't think there's a point in that lineup where the pitcher can really rest and think he's got a couple easy outs coming. So I like the balance that they have. They might not have the pitching depth that they've had in the past, but they've got enough with Kevin Wetlaufer. Noah Gearhart's throwing pretty well. Colton Hans came up huge against Millville. So they moved up to Double-A this year. That's going to make it a little tougher on them in playoffs, but they're as competitive as always, so they'll be a dangerous team again come playoff time.
Well, before we end the show here today, I mean, let's go to softball real quick again and just kind of take a quick hitter about how just unbelievable Summer McNulty's having from a hitting standpoint. She's been at 750 over 7.
She was 769 the other day, and then she did not get a hit, which she's really slacking. She was 25 for 32, so she'll have to run extra laps now for not getting a hit. Yeah, I mean she's been insane. It's she was hitting around like 740 or so she's got to go at least 3 for 4 every game to raise her average at that point, and she kept doing it for 3 or 4 games. It's amazing. And then
it's even more impressive that obviously every team in the area knows how good she is.
Yeah,
and she's still cranking out hits left and right.
And even she went 8 for 10 at the Williamsport tournament, which Loyal Sock made a major statement there, winning that in convincing fashion and beating Williamsport. And one of the outs she made was, about a 200-foot shot to center field. It was a line, but they were playing her really deep, and the center fielder was there. So she's as locked in, I think, as any hitter we've seen in the area in a long time. And Loyal Sock plays a good schedule. I mean, she's doing this against pretty darn good teams. And
exactly.
Her first 8 games, she had at least 2 hits in every game. And she loses a year last year because of COVID, and she already has 100 career hits. So that's pretty remarkable in itself. And she already has 25 hits this season. It's pretty rare air she's in right now. And that's coming off of a first-team All-State basketball season.
Exactly.
And she didn't. I think she had 4 practices to get ready for softball season. So just a tremendous athlete all the way around.
And speaking of All-State, you had Summer McNulty get first-team All-State in Class AAA in girls basketball. We had Idris Ali get Player of the Year in Class AAA for boys basketball. His brother Siraj got first team. CI got Coach of the Year in AAA. Yeah. And we had Ethan Hartman, I believe it was, for Warrior Run, got third team, yep. And Noah Spencer for North Penn Liberty got second team. So a lot of
Isaiah Niemczak from Canton got second team Double-A.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of success in the area for the All-State. So that was nice to see this year, especially for sock, for the boys side getting those Player of the Year and Coach of the Year honors.
Yeah, it was well deserved. I figured CI was a slam dunk with them winning the state title. Idris, I was happy to see him get recognized as the Player of the Year. I wrote the column right after they won states that I don't care if there's guys going to Miami and LSU and whatever in the AAA field. Nobody was better in AAA this year than Idris Ali. And he got rewarded for that. It was good to see the voters not look at just scholarship offers and look at the big picture and see that. And to have 5 first-teamers in this area really shines a bright light on some really good basketball being played here. And like you said, this is the best showing I think we've ever had in our area, at least in my time here, going back to 1999. So it says a lot about the quality of basketball being played here and in District 4.
And for Loyal Sock, that was the first time for boys basketball they had 2 first-team All-Staters. And that says a lot from that program just in the 2000s alone, even the 90s, for all the talent that program has had over the years.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a program that under CI has 38 20-win seasons in 46 years. So, they're cranking out great players every year. So, this team made history winning the state title, and now Idris is the first Player of the Year from Loyal Sock. The first time, him and Siraj, the first dual first-teamers. They just keep raising the bar. And I think this is going to make Loyal Sock, even though they lose some awesome players from this team, the fact that they won it, the fact that they had a Player Year, that they had 2 first-teamers for these younger kids coming up, it shows them that it's possible, that it's not like just a pipe dream that you can do this stuff. Now they know it can be done because they've seen it get done. And I think that raises the bar even higher for Loyal Sock, makes it more tangible, and is really going to power them in the future as well.
Well, that'll do it for Sports Talk this week. We'll see you next week. I'm Jon Gerardi alongside the doctor, Chris Masse.
Next week, I'm doing it without the mask.
So don't miss. That's big.
That is must-see TV.